Guys, if the smell of your glove is stronger than your right hand, it's time for an upgrade. Hayabusa does one sale a year. It's called the pre-Black Friday sale. 15% off site-wide. You can click on the link below or go to the website HayabusaFight.com. Use the promo code Chael. That will get you 15% off the absolute best gloves you can possibly buy. I remember when I started at Team Quest, there was one pair of Hayabusa gloves. Randy Couture owned the gloves. He used to wear them every day, but they were actually loaned to him by Robert Follis, who was the coach. And Robert Follis put a word through our gym. Whoever takes Randy down, I will give you those gloves. Chris Lieben ended up getting the takedown. Chris Lieben owns those gloves today, but now you can own them. Go to Hayabusa Fight. Get anything you want. Use the promo code Chael, 15% off your entire order. That's going to include free shipping. This is an offer they gave to me. I'm giving to you. You will find it nowhere else. HayabusaFight.com. Promo code Chael. Where do you want to begin? Sincere question. If you were in my shoes and you were going to come and talk to YouTube about what happened at the UFC last night, where would you begin? What was the high spot? Because it wasn't necessarily the main event. Let's start at the main. Should we start at the main event? All right. I spoke to Colby today, and just so you guys know, he's doing great. I think he's very disappointed in the performance. I don't think he should be, possibly in the outcome. When you put your whole life into something, possibly the outcome, but not the performance. When you have a moment like that, when you have that much pressure on you, which it never gets bigger. Nobody in this sport has ever had a bigger fight or a bigger moment than what Colby and Kamaru did last night. And you can sit and argue that, and you might even find some damn close equals. Not bigger. That was the pinnacle of pressure, particularly on Colby, in all fairness. Kamaru Usman is out there defending a championship of the world and pound-for-pound status while chasing a ghost of George St. Pierre. It's a very hard spot for Usman, but in a worst-case scenario. And that's how you figure out who's got the pressure. In a worst-case scenario, who's it worse for? Whoever that answer is has more pressure. And the reason I submit Colby is Colby's not going to get another shot at the belt. As long as Kamaru stays king, Colby will not return to that fight. Now, that creates a whole nother discussion. First off, retirement for Kamaru Usman, even though that's not anywhere in his mouth, is going to come a lot quicker than you might think. He's done everything. He's now going through it his second time, and he only has one goal left, which is to overtake the idea of George St. Pierre. I mean, pretty difficult, right? But he's well on his way. Kamaru could get beat. Kamaru could leave the sport. I only offer those as examples because that is what Colby is going to have to cling to find his own motivation. Colby Covington does not have a goal to be a fighter in the UFC. He does not have a goal to be rich. He does not have a goal to have people love him, like him, remember, and say nice things about him when he's gone. It's a goal to be the champion of the world, the end. So he will wake up. It breaks my heart. It really does break my heart. It's one of the reasons that I reached out to Colby. I was thinking of him. And I know when you have that kind of drive, his entire life sacrificed, dedicated, and committed to an opportunity that no longer exists. Could you imagine? Hope keeps us all going. Hope drives us all. Whatever that hope might be. But when you realize that it no longer exists, that's very tough. Now, Colby can still be the champion of the world, make no mistake. What I'm purely speaking to is he won't be given the opportunity as long as Kamaru sits at the top. And by the way, Kamaru Usman is a top 2 welterweight of all time. It's down to Kamaru and St. Pierre, for goodness sakes. There is no other discussion. He's a top 2 of all time. Colby Covington is a top 5. Not only is Colby Covington clearly the second baddest dude on earth, 6 billion men on earth, and only one can beat Colby, in all fairness. He is a top 5 ever. So think about that from that perspective. If you ever reach, personally, put yourself in that spot. You reach the height of greatness. You got to what you went for. You got as good as you ever dreamed about getting. You were given the opportunities that you only dreamed and fantasized. Prayed to your God that maybe would come your way. And the one guy in history that can beat you happens to be competing in the same sport for the same dream at the same time as you are. Daniel Cormier spoke about this. And I don't know that there's anybody better to speak about it than Daniel Cormier, because not only did this happen to DC, it happened to him twice. Daniel Cormier, I could get a map out, guys. I get a calendar all the way back to 1993 of the UFC, and I could point to dates all over that thing where Daniel Cormier would have been the champion of the world for sure, and you guys wouldn't dispute it. You would fully agree with me. But he's competed at the same time as the greatest to have ever done it in his weight class, which is Jon Jones. What do you do? What do you do? When I say it happened to DC a second time, Daniel Cormier is as good of a college wrestler as I've ever seen. And I could get out the calendar, the map, and I could point to year after year after year after year after year after year that Daniel Cormier and his skills would have been the champion, but he competed the same time in the same weight class as the greatest of all time in Cael Sanderson. What do you do? Hard spot. Could be a world champion, could be king of the world any time, except this one. Think about it in that perspective. Because now we're talking about, and this is wildly unfair, guys. Do we need to change these rules? When I tell you the rule that Colby Covington can't get to a world title fight, I'm speaking about precedence. Is it time to change that? One thing that we know that Dana White found for sure in that contest is he found the two best guys. For sure. There is a gap between Kamaru, Colby, and the field. There is a gap. Should it be right that Colby can't return to that spot just because he stubbed his toe a couple of times? Should it be? Hell no, it shouldn't be. Hell no. If you're the guy, if you put in the work, if you earn something, you should be able to go out there and compete for it, right? And it's not Dana White making these rules. It's us. We're the ones that make these rules. We're the ones that say, if you try again, but if you fail twice, you're never going to get another shot. Max Holloway is living this right now. Max's was slightly different. Many people thought that Max won those fights with Volkanovski. Slightly different. But not completely. Why are we doing that to Colby? And if there's not a roadmap where Colby can return, what is he supposed to do? And a lot of times the answer is very easy, guys. You change weight classes. Colby is the perfect 70-pounder. Colby is more likely, get ready for this, Colby is more likely to be a 155-pounder than he is 185. It's just height, it's just body, it's just mass, the way, his physiology. He is a perfect 170-pounder, and I only submit that for you because I don't think any of us believe he can go down to 155. What I'm speaking to is he's a perfect 70-pounder. He's got a weight class. He's right where he should be. And you talk about the back and forth in that fight. Couple of things. Maybe got to give myself a pat on the back, because I did tell you guys the only thing I can assure you in this second bout is there's going to be wrestling. I cannot assure you who's going to win it. I can't assure you it's going to be effective. They will attempt wrestling, both of them. And they both did. And it was a total wash. Kamaru Usman's offense for wrestling isn't what it was back when he used to compete. But Kamaru Usman's defense is beautiful. Very basic. Change elevation, sprawl, hips in, post the knees. You guys saw Kamaru do that one time last night. He was hitting Colby in the body. Colby's in on a shot. Kamaru stopped hitting, took both hands and blocked the knees. That is 101. That is baseline defense in wrestling. And Kamaru knew the basics. He might have lost a little bit of his flair, but he clung to the basics. And it was the basics that Usman used in a world championship fight. Don't ever forget that. You competitors out there, you always want the oohs and the ahs from the crowd with your technique. It is the basics that win championships. That was as good of a fight as I've seen. It was not as hard of a fight as the first one. The reason for that, when two guys go to war, like Colby and Kamaru did in the first one, they say they're going to return to that. They say they're going to go as hard, but prepare to go even harder. There's another part in their brain subconsciously. They don't want to return to that state. They were vulnerable. They were hurt. They were exhausted. And both of them felt that. Both of them were a lot more measured, a lot more strategic. It was every bit as good of a fight. It was every bit as close of a fight. It wasn't as hard. They didn't return to that. It was really quite a moment. To give the praise to Kamaru Usman that Kamaru Usman deserves is very tough rhetorically. You say, oh, he's the best. Okay, well, here, let's go further. Let's give him a rank. He's pound for pound the best. Yeah, no kidding. That's the guy. Kamaru Usman is as close to a perfect fighter as there has ever been. And Kamaru Usman's ability to reset in the moment, to be hurt, to get hit, to get frustrated, and you can see it when it happens. You can read Kamaru's face like a poker player. You can see when he resets, and it's as though that never happened. He gets hit with a hook, he's hurt, his legs stumble. Kamaru will reset, and it's nowhere in his mind. He's not thinking about the past, he's not thinking about the future, he's living right now. And as simple as what I just said sounds, it is the struggle of every athlete in every sport that comes particularly predominant in this one. To not do what's called taking inventory and think, all right, I'm hurt, I'm tired, there's still 10 minutes left. I'm going to be really hurt and tired then and get frustrated and want to weigh out. Every fighter has to deal with that in every single match, to just stay in the moment. But it's very difficult to do. Henry Cejudo used to do that very well. Nobody does it as good as Usman. I have never seen an athlete be able to reset and put the past behind them in an instant as well as Kamaru Usman. And Colby stayed on him. Colby agrees with everything I just said. I don't expect that you're going to hear it out of his mouth, but he agrees with what I said. He agrees Kamaru Usman's the best fighter in the world. He agrees Kamaru Usman is a top 2 to have ever done it. He agrees that Kamaru is the top pound-for-pound guy right now. And he still went out there and battled him for now a total of 10 rounds, never wilted once, never backed down once. Do you think Colby wasn't hurt last night? Think he wasn't exhausted? Had nothing to do with it. Colby is a dirty, gritty competitor. Where will we go from here? I actually have that answer.